This is something that you never want to do in your relationship. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you set yourself up for failure by asking this question. And I'm going to get to it in a second, but I want to explain the pretense before I explain exactly what this is. When you're in a relationship, especially a new relationship, you have a very, very unique opportunity there to craft the way that you perceive the person that you're with. And in order to craft that image and protect it as much as possible, I think there's some things that should be said and some things that shouldn't be said. So there's a few different things here, a few different variables, right? I think the biggest variable is how you met that person. If you met that person through a social circle, or maybe you went to school with them, or you had some previous knowledge of their life prior to you getting into a relationship with them, it can be a little challenging sometimes to craft that image. Because let's say you start dating Becky and you know Becky has dated 5 other guys that you know, well, you're going to look at her some type of way. So you got to think about that, because that's one of those things that come up over time. What is your background? What have you done with your life? What haven't you done with your life? Well, let's say you met somebody online. Well, now you're meeting a complete stranger, more or less. It's not somebody that you went to school with. It's not somebody that was in your social circle. You're in a very unique spot here because you have the ability to customize and craft and mold their perception of you, and they can likewise do the same back. You need to be very cautious and delicate with that initial crafting process because it's ultimately going to shape the way that they view you. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about those initial conversations where you get to know somebody and you formulate that relationship. If you were not the best person in your past, sure, you could touch on it. I'm not saying to lie, by the way, but I'm saying that there's certain things that you might have done in the past that you really have no reason to bring up and say because it's going to alter their perception of you. Be careful with some of the stuff that you talk about when starting a new relationship because it can ultimately become a negative if it is indeed viewed that way. And during that very initial infantile stage of your relationship, be very careful. Now, later on in the relationship, you're going to learn things that you like and things that you don't like about the person that you're with. That's true. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, and we have to acknowledge that. But this one question in particular, I made the mistake of asking when I was a lot younger. I think like 18 or 19. I don't even know what I wanted the answer to be. But that's the funny thing about this question, is no matter what the answer is, it's not going to be positive. That question that I'm talking about is asking your partner how many sexual partners they've had. By asking that question, you are trying to get some kind of a number. Because you're trying to see if the person that you're with has had more partners than you think is acceptable. Or maybe you're just curious. But what happens if you've been with this girl for 6 months and you ask her how many partners she's been with and she says, yeah, maybe like 150? You'd be like, whoa, that would take you back. Had you not known, then you wouldn't have thought any different. So that's the big takeaway here is ignorance is bliss at times. And I really want you to think about this. If you don't know something, it can't hurt you and it can't harm you, especially something that doesn't affect you at all in your current state. So when you think about this and you're going through and you're building that rapport and you're asking these questions, that is one question I would never recommend asking to anyone that you're ever with. Because quite frankly, it doesn't matter, and no matter what the answer is, it's not going to make you feel good at the end of the day. And I know you could say, hey Chris, I don't care how many guys she's been with, yada, yada, yada. But the reality is you do. If you care about her, you do. So don't lie to yourself. But that doesn't mean that you should go out and ask the question to get the answer because it doesn't matter. Focus on your relationship. Focus on crafting and building a life together because that's what matters. Not what happened 5 years ago before you guys met each other. It doesn't matter. What matters is the future and what you're going to do together. So I hope you guys think about that. I don't know if you've ever made this mistake. I know I have. If you guys have ever made that mistake, feel free to comment down below. I'm out of here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, RTBTransformations.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And with that, I'm out of here.